It began in a dimly lit basement laboratory on the edge of a quiet university campus. The room was filled with the low hum of machines, their blinking lights pulsing in a steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. In the early 1980s, a small group of researchers, 1980s, worked tirelessly there, driven by an idea that seemed almost impossible. They wanted to build a machine that could learn, not just calculate, but adapt, evolve, and respond to the world in a way that resembled the human brain. They called their creation the digital brain. At a time when most computers followed rigid step-by-step instructions, the digital brain was different. Its design was inspired by the structure of the human cortex. Instead of fixed pathways, it used networks of artificial neurons connected in layers. These connections could change over time, strengthening or weakening based on experience. The machine could recognize patterns, adjust its behavior, and improve its responses. It didn't just execute commands, it learned. The team worked obsessively, fueled by curiosity and determination. Their notebooks were filled with diagrams of branching networks and tangled connections, resembling living systems more than mechanical ones. They soldered circuits by hand, tested connections repeatedly, and spent long nights watching the machine slowly come to life. When it finally powered on, its processors emitted a soft, steady hum. It responded to simple inputs, recognized basic patterns, and began solving problems in ways that surprised even its creators. To them, it felt less like programming a tool and more like nurturing a new form of intelligence. But outside the lab, the world was moving on. Funding was limited, and many people dismissed the project as impractical. Faster, more conventional computers were dominating the industry, and the idea of machines that could learn seemed unnecessary and inefficient. Gradually, support faded. Team members left for other opportunities. Resources disappeared. Eventually, the digital brain was powered down and left behind in the basement. Its lights went dark, its circuits cooled. The project was forgotten. For 20 years, the machine remained there, untouched. Dust gathered on its panels, cobwebs stretched between its wires. The world above continued to advance, entering the age of the internet and modern computing. Artificial intelligence would eventually become one of the most important technological revolutions. But the digital brain, one of its earliest pioneers, sat silently in the shadows. Then, during a university renovation decades later, workers stumbled upon the machine. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than an obsolete relic. Its bulky frame and outdated components seemed insignificant compared to modern computers. But one young computer scientist became curious. Something about the design felt unusual. He convinced the university to preserve and examine it. Carefully, they cleaned the machine and reconnected its power. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a faint hum returned. Small lights flickered across its panels. The digital brain was waking up. What they discovered astonished them. Despite sitting dormant for 2 decades, the machine still functioned. Its neural networks retained traces of previous learning, like memories frozen in time. When researchers fed it new tasks, it adapted. It recognized patterns, it improved its responses. Its learning was primitive compared to modern AI, but it demonstrated remarkable flexibility. It was not just executing code, it was adjusting itself. To the researchers, it was like opening a time capsule, not of objects, but of thought. The machine revealed ideas far ahead of its time. Its architecture was efficient, requiring far less computational power than modern systems to perform adaptive learning. Its design showed that intelligence did not always require massive resources, but careful structure and flexibility. The digital brain was also visually striking. Its tall metal frames covered in switches and glowing indicators resembled something almost alive. Thick cables twisted across the floor like roots. A small cracked screen displayed lines of code, flickering like an ancient language still waiting to be understood. It was both outdated and visionary, a relic that had predicted the future. As researchers continued experimenting, they noticed something even more fascinating. The machine's responses sometimes showed subtle unpredictability. When given open-ended problems, it occasionally produced unexpected yet effective solutions. It wasn't conscious, but it demonstrated a form of adaptive behavior that felt almost personal. Its learning patterns reflected the intentions and methods of its original creators, preserving their thinking across decades. Interacting with it felt like communicating with minds from the past. News of the rediscovery spread through academic circles. Scientists and engineers began studying the digital brain not just as a historical artifact, but as a source of inspiration. Its efficient learning methods offered valuable lessons. In an era where modern AI required enormous datasets and energy, the digital brain demonstrated the power of simplicity and adaptability. Its architecture influenced new research into efficient, low-power artificial intelligence. But beyond its technical importance, the digital brain told a deeply human story. It represented ambition, creativity, and persistence. It showed how ideas could survive long after being forgotten. Its creators had moved on, believing their work had faded into obscurity, yet their vision endured, waiting quietly for the world to catch up. When some of the original engineers learned that the machine still existed, they returned to see it. Watching it function again after so many years was an emotional experience. What they had built in their youth, driven by imagination and determination, had survived. It was more than a machine. It was a piece of their lives, preserved in circuits and code. Today, the digital brain continues to operate as both a research tool and an educational symbol. Students study its design to understand the origins of artificial intelligence. Researchers explore its architecture to uncover principles still relevant today. Its steady hum fills the room once again, a quiet reminder of innovation that refused to disappear. The story of the digital brain is not just about technology. It is about time, memory, and the endurance of human creativity. It shows that progress is not always linear. Sometimes the most important ideas emerge early, only to be forgotten until the world is ready for them. For 20 years, the digital brain waited in silence. It did not evolve, it did not grow, but it endured. And when it was rediscovered, it proved that knowledge once created never truly disappears. It waits patiently, hidden in forgotten places, until someone curious enough brings it back to life. In its quiet hum, you can still hear the echoes of those sleepless nights in the basement lab, the dreams of people who believed machines could learn long before anyone else did. And in that hum lies a powerful reminder. Sometimes the future is built long before the world is ready to see it.